everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm just so excited to introduce my guest, Eliza, today. Eliza is helping women, she's a coach to help women launch their own business, get started in entrepreneurship. And so I'm just so excited. Eliza, thank you so much for the time today.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I would love for you to expand a little bit on, this is such an amazing niche because I feel like so many women are really getting empowered and really looking into opening their own business. And so I feel like there's no really better time than now to start really get into that. So I would love for you to kind of tell me a little bit about, how did you know that, okay, this was the coaching space that I wanted to go, helping women start their own business, and how do you kind of do that as well?
Absolutely. So, in order to know how I got here, I guess it helps to know my background and my career. I've been, in the workforce for just over 10 years now. The majority of that, about 10 years, was in sales. My undergrad was in engineering, so I've always been in a technical type sales engineering position.
Mhm.
And I recently just completed my master's of business as well.
Oh,
So
congrats.
thank you. So I've always had this entrepreneurial flair. I read a book when I was like 23, and I always had known I was going to go in this direction. I just, I never had that activating moment. I felt, one day, until I got, 10 years into my career, and I realized how difficult it is for people to go through the motions every day and realize that they might not be actually aligned with this career that they're in. And of course, there are a lot of inequities in corporations and in small businesses alike. And especially for women, it can be hard in male dominated fields. So it dawned on me when I was sort of in this low point in my career that I wanted to do something else, something for myself, something where I'm in more in control of my earning power. And I've been in this space now for a year, having left my career and ideating on what I wanted to do. And I realized, oh my gosh, I need to be the person that I needed when I was in that low point in my career. I
Mm-hmm.
want to help, yeah, empower women and let them know that it is possible and educate them to the options that they have. Because when, of course, our traditional upbringing and, conventional societal thinking is we don't realize that there are 1,000 million ways to do, you know, like a career, have a career
Yeah.
that you make yourself. So that's how I got into this.
Wow, that's awesome. Is there any kind of piece of advice that you'd say if any woman is listening and is like, they've thought about it for a while, they haven't really acted on it, but they're like, oh, that's something I can do in the future, in the future, in the future. Is there anything that you want to say to like maybe them or anyone who might be just thinking about entrepreneurship in general?
Yeah, absolutely. The one reigning thing I would say is don't wait for anyone's permission. You don't need anyone's permission. You probably won't get the support you think you would in your immediate, friends and family circles. And that's okay. That has no bearing on your outcome. Don't wait for an invitation. Show up where you want to show up. Go after for what you want. You're totally allowed. And you have a whole internet of women doing the same thing who are there to support you and encourage you.
Oh yeah, I love that. That is a really great piece of advice because I especially for myself, when I do things sometimes on my own like volition, I'm like, should I be asking people? Should I be consulting someone? Should I be like talking to like, I don't know, this person or this person? Should I like ask permission before I like do this thing? And I think that's a really great piece of advice. Like it is your life. You don't need someone else to tell you that you can live the life that you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, kind of looking back at your journey, is there anything that you would say that you've experienced that you'd like to tell your younger self, kind of looking back, or maybe just maybe the younger generation kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I would say, similar to my general advice to women today is don't be afraid to go after what you want. And it might be uncomfortable if the people in your lives, the friends, when you're 17, people's opinions matter so much to you. It can be uncomfortable to not have the opinions that you want to have or to do something that, makes other people think differently of you.
Mhm.
But that has no bearing on the outcome. Do it anyway. Your success is determined by you only. It's okay to ask for what you want. It's okay to go for what you want. Don't have to wait for permission or for validation from someone,
Yeah.
especially forging your own path because a lot of people haven't done it.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing because it's so easy. I feel like, as someone who grew up, like my teen years were mostly on social media, right? Like 17, 18. I'm
Yeah,
19 now. And I just get sometimes like so worried. Like there's just so much going on. And I feel like you're even put into kind of a culture or that you have even more eyes on you and even more opinions. And people love to comment their own opinions on stuff on social media. Like you could post like a picture of like your breakfast and someone be like, oh, well, if I were you, I would have this for breakfast. I'm like, you're not me though. Just have your own breakfast. It's fine. So I think that's
yeah,
really great to keep in mind that, it's your life. You deserve to live it the way that you want.
absolutely, absolutely. And there are always going to be people who just have to have their opinion in the mix, and it's okay. Like that, just let them because
Yeah.
they need it more than you need their validation.
Yeah, that's a really great way to put it. They want that their validation. They're not looking for, they don't really, sometimes they don't even think like, oh, could this be affecting that person? They just want to talk. They
Right,
just want to say what they want to do. Which is
right.
once you realize that it takes so much pressure off, like, oh, they don't actually care what I had for breakfast. They just want to talk about their breakfast. All right.
Literally, it has nothing to do with you. And I'm 33 and I'm still learning this and learning it even more. The more, public my accounts get and the more
Right.
views I get on things. So it's okay. It's okay. Do it anyway.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I have a quick question. For any woman or just anyone in general who, might have been thinking about entrepreneurship and they're watching this and they're like, Eliza has just inspired me. I need to go do it. I need to go on my own. Is there anything like the first thing that they can just do to get it off their mind to just put something going in the right direction, if you're kind of understanding what I'm saying? That, like
Yeah,
what are those first steps they can do? Like the most basic of things, like, okay, at least I'm doing something which is better than what I did yesterday, which was fine.
absolutely. I think a huge thing you can do is really hone your why. And I know you probably have heard that a ton, but what I mean by that is figure out what you feel passionate about in terms of service, who you feel like you can help. Because generally, when you are starting an entrepreneurship journey, usually it starts with something like that. It's a raw feeling. You haven't necessarily totally tapped into it. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, I just want to help, you know, in my case, I want to help women leave their jobs. So tap into that and really figure out, what your connection is to that, what your story is in relation to that, because that will keep you going far longer than motivation alone, than money motivation alone. And when you see the world from the perspective of service and you have a duty to help, you feel the pressures of, oh, I don't want to post today or anything like that, the superficial things kind of melt away because you feel like you have a duty. So really tap into that. And there are so many resources on the internet about how to hone that and find it. But I think the biggest number one step is to just realize that that is a sense of service that you're feeling and to connect your story to that.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. I love that so much. And I think the reason that people go so far and the reason that people go through the hardships that they want, you hear just some incredible motivational stories on people who start their own business or their own company or anything. And sometimes their stories are like really, really hard. And you're like, how did you
Yeah,
get through that? But when you mention, like having that duty to someone else and having that servitude, it changes your outlook on life so much. Like you said, those superficial things like posting, making videos, making content, they just kind of fade away because you want to impact that, leave that impact on other people's lives. And that is a really great way to think about it.
absolutely. Thank you. I hope it's helpful to your listeners and your
I
audience.
Well, it's been helpful for me, so I can say that for
Oh,
myself for
good.
sure. So thank you so much for the time today, Eliza. If anyone would like to kind of reach out, learn more about what you do, what's the best way they can reach you?
Yeah, so the easiest, most direct way is to just DM me on Instagram. My handle is at it's Eliza Story, ITSELIZASTORY, like a book, I always say. It's Eliza Story. So DM me there, but you can also find me by the same handle on TikTok or go to my website, elizastory.com.
Perfect. And I'll be able to leave those links in the description. So if anyone wants to click on them a little bit easier. Eliza, thank you so much for the time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And what you have shared with me today has resonated so much. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and keep doing what you're doing as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See you guys.